But what you're seeing in this chapter is, it represents, there are two groups of Jews in the Bible, in the book of Revelation. There are the remnant seed Jews. These are converts of the two prophets that preach in this first 3.5 years of the tribulation period. These are the ones that are sealed and all of that. But then you have the man-child Jews. The Bible talks about the Jews in Isaiah ruling with a rod of iron. They're exactors of righteousness. And you have some of these things in your notes. But here in Revelation chapter 12, it represents both the remnant seed Jew and the man-child Jew. It says, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman. That woman represents Israel, both the remnant seed Jew and the man-child Jew, clothed with the sun, the moon, 12 stars. That's all Jewish terminology. The dream of Joseph, moon, stars, sun. So, and 2 says, and she, this woman Israel, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. This has been going on since the crucifixion. Israel has struggled. They've been in this birth pain to be delivered ever since the crucifixion. If you continue reading, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head, and his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered to devour her child as soon as it was born. Verse 5, and she brought forth a man-child, where we refer to these as the man-child Jews, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. Underscore rod of iron. And her child, underscore this, was caught up unto God, unto his throne. That means caught up in favor. Verse 6, and the woman fled into the wilderness. Put a circle around the word wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. These Jews that are sealed against death, what happens is, when the Antichrist breaks his covenant in the midst of the week, and he slays the remnant seed Jews, these man-child Jews flee from Jerusalem into the southern extremities of the land, into a place called Edom. And there's some fascinating details about this. And they're there for 3.5 years. The two prophets that preached are dead. They've ascended. The Antichrist has broken his covenant. And here you have Israel, the man-child, the remnant seed Jews. And the remnant seed Jews are fleeing. And they are able to, they're slain rather, but the man-child Jews are fleeing into this place called in the wilderness. 8. It says here, verse 7, and there was war in heaven. Michael, remember, he's the warrior angel of Israel, and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. See, Satan's fall line, he was cast out of the holy mount of God. He's now the prince and power of the air. But during this time, he will be cast out into the earth. He won't just be the prince and power of the air. At this point, he will be cast into the earth. Then he is cast later into the bottomless pit, chained for 1,000 years, and he ends up in the lake of fire. So his whole process has been just down, down, down. Starting in heaven, the holy mount of God, the air, the earth, the pit, and the lake of fire. He's on his way down, but this church is on its way up. So that is interesting sidelight there. heard a voice saying in heaven, "Now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony," underscore by the word of their testimony, "and they loved not their lives unto the death." Verse 12, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he has but a short time." Right in their headquarters on earth. At this time, the devil's headquarters will be on earth. 13, "And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman," these are the man-child Jews, "were given two," sealed against death, "were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time." Time is a year, and times is 2 years, and half a time is half a year. So it's 3.5 years from the face of the serpent. "And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood." That water means an army of soldiers, and you can prove that later. It explains that in the book of Revelation. But he sent an army after them to catch these Jews that are fleeing and bring them back. "And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood," or destroyed. "And the earth helped the woman," underscore earth helped the woman, "and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood," of this army that the Antichrist sends, which the dragon cast out of his mouth by orders. He gave the order. "And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed." That's where we get the remnant seed Jews. So underscore remnant of her seed, "which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ." They are converts of these 2 prophets. See how it all begins to fall in place? The Bible explains itself. Chapter 13. "And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads." That means 7 forms of government, because the Roman Empire had 7 forms of government. "And 10 horns," that is the Roman Empire, as I said before. "And upon his horns 10 crowns, upon his heads the name of blasphemy," etc. Now, here in chapter 13, this represents, number 1, the Roman Empire. Write that down. Number 1, the Roman Empire. Number 2, the Antichrist as head of the Roman Empire. Verse 2, "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion." Remember what we studied about the nature of the empires, the Gentile empires? The Antichrist is all of that. "And the dragon, the spirit of the devil, gave him power and his seat and his authority. And I saw one of the heads, one of the forms of government, as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed," underscore his deadly wound was healed, "and all the world wondered after the beast, because a new empire did not take over after the Roman Empire." Notice something. When Babylon fell, the Medo-Persian Empire took over. The language was gone, structure, everything. Medo-Persia took over. When they were conquered by Greece in 338 BC, Alexander the Great, the Grecian Empire, crushed all of this out and took over. And then the Roman Empire crushed the Grecian Empire, and it was divided into 2 parts in government, etc., as you can study later. But the Roman Empire, no world power ever rose again to control the whole world after the Roman Empire. It was the last one. And even though it appeared that the Roman Empire was destroyed and crushed from a deadly wound, that wound healed. And out of that old Roman Empire, that power, that government will rise again, and all the world will wonder after that. That's happening right now. That's happening right now. That's why they're talking about a one world order. It comes out of that Roman Empire, a one world church or religious system. It comes out of that system. And all nations are turning against Israel. And as I said, the nations around the Mediterranean Sea are governed by military power, and the kings and the sovereigns have been deposed. It's all there. You can feel the spirit of that thing in the earth right now. Look at this. It says, and I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. That's the remnant seed Jews. That's these converts, because the raptured saints are already gone, to overcome them. And power was given him over kindreds and tongues and nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear to hear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword, etc. Now, verse 11. And I beheld another beast. This is the false prophet. See, the Antichrist will have a false prophet that will speak for him. So here is where it is. This is the religious leader of the harlot church. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image. Goes right back to the type of Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel. An image to the beast which had the wound by the sword and did live. 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the beast, the image of the beast, should be killed. And it's very interesting with robotic engineering the way it is, that beast will be able to electronically speak. You hear it on, but I'm quite sure, I mean, in the early 1900s, they thought, how can this thing be? Now we know how it can be, because of the age of electronics and with computer chips and there are so many things you carry that everything about you carry it on your person. They've got a new driver's license in New York State right now. I don't have it. But the new one that has come out, when you go through a checkpoint at an airport, in that strip on that driver's license,